Usually, when we picture Benjamin Franklin, we see a guy standing out in a thunderstorm with a kite and a key.
Right, like the ultimate image of scientific discovery.
Yeah.
The eccentric inventor bravely unlocking the secrets of the universe.
Exactly. But if you look at the historical letters, the biographies, and the treaties we've got in our stack for today's deep dive,
Huh.
honestly, the kite looks like child's play.
It really does. I mean, his most electrifying accomplishment was actually heading to Paris to, well, literally save the American Revolution.
Yeah, which is wild. So our mission today is to figure out exactly how Franklin operated as this master diplomat
Hmm.
and how a very specific fashion choice completely changed the course of history.
You really have to picture the stakes here. It's 1776. Franklin is 70 years old, which, is ancient for the era.
Oh, for sure.
And he's sailing across an ocean to beg for military support. If he fails, the revolution is likely crushed and, well, he hangs for treason.
And the European diplomats he's dealing with are just swarming the courts in powdered wigs, silk suits, absolute formality.
Right, the whole 9 yards.
But Franklin, he walks in wearing a plain brown suit and a marten fur cap. To me, that is exactly like rolling into a black tie Met Gala wearing a plain gray hoodie. I mean, it completely shatters the dress code.
And it shattered it by design. He knew his audience perfectly.
Really? So it wasn't just him being practical.
Not at all. The French aristocracy at that moment was obsessed with this highly romanticized idea of the New World Enlightenment. They desperately wanted a rustic, uncorrupted philosopher, so Franklin just played the part of the innocent, simple American.
Making himself a walking mascot for their own Enlightenment ideals.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And his popularity exploded to levels that are honestly hard to comprehend today. His likeness was slapped onto medallions, rings, snuff boxes, clocks.
Wow, so he went viral.
He totally did. Fashionable French women even started styling their hair in the coiffure à la Franklin to mimic the shape of his fur cap.
That is amazing. But, I struggle to buy that this was just about charm, though.
How do you mean?
Well, being a trendy celebrity doesn't automatically buy you a military alliance. Plus, he spent over a decade in London trying to prevent the war using diplomacy, and it completely failed.
That's a great point.
Right. Why would playing the simple American work in Paris when he couldn't talk his way out of a crisis in London?
So that's the crucial difference. In London, he was dealing with an empire that basically refused to see him as an equal.
Okay.
There's this brilliant 1776 letter Franklin wrote to the British Lord Howe just as things were falling apart. He firmly compared the British Empire to a fine and noble china vase.
A china vase.
Yeah. He warned that once it was smashed, the separate parts could never be reunited to have the same strength.
Basically telling Britain, you break this, you buy it.
Exactly. And they chose force instead of listening. So Franklin took his smashed vase to France, and here is how that viral fame actually translated into naval support.
I'm all ears.
Franklin didn't just go to parties. He used his massive public following to put immense indirect pressure on the French King Louis VI. The French public was demanding action.
Okay, so he's pulling strings behind the scenes.
Right. Then, when the Americans actually won a major battlefield victory at Saratoga in 1777, Franklin just seized the moment.
He uses Saratoga as the ultimate leverage.
He did. He played on French fears, hinting heavily that if France didn't back America right now, America might just reconcile with Britain.
Oh, wow. That is a bold bluff.
It was a huge squeeze play. The king couldn't risk Britain keeping its empire intact, and the French public was already totally in love with Franklin. That forced the king's hand, resulting in the 1778 Treaty of Alliance.
Which secured the massive influx of money, troops, and naval support.
Exactly. Support that entirely turned the tide of the Revolutionary War.
So he basically takes a fur hat and a single military victory and parlays them into a global superpower conflict. I mean, that diplomatic endurance didn't just win the war, it cemented a legacy that literally no one else matched.
He was the ultimate closer. Consider the sheer stamina here. Franklin is the absolute only founding father to sign all three of the pivotal documents that created the United States.
Wait, all three? So the Declaration of Independence in 1776.
Yep, the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which officially ended the war. And finally, the U.S. Constitution.
That is unbelievable.
He was in the room, sealing the deal, at every single critical juncture of the nation's birth.
So whether you are listening to this on your way to navigate a tricky boardroom, or pitching a startup, or just trying to build a network, Franklin proved something vital.
Soft skills.
Exactly. Soft skills and reading your audience are just as crucial as technical brilliance. You can invent the lightning rod, but, if you can't read the room, you won't get the funding.
And that raises an uncomfortable but fascinating question about authenticity, I think.
Oh, so?
While we admire Franklin's simple man of the people persona in France, but remember, this was a highly calculated move. This was a wealthy, wildly sophisticated man who had already navigated London high society for 16 years before showing up in Paris playing the country bumpkin.
Oh, right. Which really makes you wonder how much of the authentic simplicity we admire in today's leaders is actually just a brilliantly crafted performance.
It's definitely something to chew on.
For sure. So the next time you see someone wearing the modern equivalent of a fur cap, you might want to ask yourself what treaty they're trying to get you to sign.